And we're back again. Hey. I know, right? Oh. Damn it. Yes. Where is my mouse? Oh, shit. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes.
Oh my god, everything went downhill so fast in like 2 seconds.
Oh, I know, right? It's like VR chat started chugging, and it was like you popped out. I'm like, uh-oh, and then it was like, oh shit, and then it's like everything crashed. I'm like, oh god, I had to restart OBS and everything. I had to restart OBS and everything. I was like, ah, shit.
Damn.
Yeah, that I have that happen every so often. It's like, oh, damn. I'm afraid I'm going to have to reinstall Windows and everything soon. And probably get new hard drives and stuff. I don't want to do it. I've been putting it off for too long, but yeah, I'm going to have to, I think, pretty soon, unfortunately. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Because that's going to take a while. Because it's like, not only am I going to have to, like, get a new, I'm going to have to order a new, like, probably an SSD for my boot drive. I'm going to have to order it, and then I'm going to have to install it, and then like reinstall the programs and everything, and it's just, oh god, I do not look forward to it. Last time I had to change anything, it took about 6 hours because last night I had a power supply I had to upgrade, and I got a 3060 with the 12 gig, and so I had to change the power supply and change the graphics card because my old power supply, it still works fine. It just didn't have enough plugs because I'm running. I've got a 1080, and then a 3060 Ti. No, not Ti. 3060 12 gig. They've got too many damn numbers.
Damn, well.
Yeah. So it's like you wouldn't think I'd run out of video memory, but it happens fairly often, unfortunately. I think there might be a memory leak in the VR chat. Yeah, so as I was saying, like I've done a few art streams, and I don't know if you heard any of that or not, and because I don't know where.
A bit of it.
I don't know where it went to hell. But yeah, it's like...
All I know is that, I actually checked out your DeviantArt in the
okay, cool,
like, bomb thing of your stream.
Yeah.
And when I crashed, I got constantly just repeated hearing you saying accidental titties just over and over and over again for like a solid few minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. At some point, somebody's gonna clip that or something, and then it's gonna be on a soundboard or something. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
That's
honestly,
the perfect soundboard.
Yeah,
that is the perfect soundboard edition.
Just accidental titties.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I mean, how can you be mad at titties? You can't. It's like,
Hell yeah.
so it's like you're sad. Titties. Titties make everything better. Well, except for monetization.
That's fair. That's fair.
that
Don't let Twitch know.
Yeah, that can get you banned, but oh well. It's worth
hear
it.
Nothing. I ain't see nothing. It's all good.
Yeah, it's like it's worth it. It depends if it's just like a temporary ban or permanent ban. If it's a permanent ban, not so much. But
Yeah.
oh man. I would attempt to. I think my headset's charged. I would attempt to get on my headset, but that's a whole different setup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not much different, but I have to open up a different browser because one of the things that a lot of people don't know about is they have they'll use the AirLink or whatever or virtual desktop.
Yeah.
Or they'll use what is it? It's with the Oculus developer thing where you can cast a different window or whatever. It's easier if you just go to
you can cast to the.
Yeah, if you just open up a Chrome.
thing.
Yeah, just open up a Chrome window, and then just cast to there, and then all you gotta do is capture the window that's got the Chrome, and there you go. And it's because people are like, oh, you need this and this and this, and I'm like, no, you don't. And they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, easily. Although if you're not careful,
it's just right there.
yeah, but if you're not careful, you will get an audio loop. I've done that a couple of times. It's like, holy shit. And it's like, shit. I'm like, damn it. And then, or what's even worse is you'll hear yourself back, a slight delay. It was speech jamming. I was like, God damn it.
Oh yeah.
I've done that a lot. Especially when that happens really bad, when I'm playing games with people and they don't wear headphones. Because I can hear the audio from their TV or whatever they're playing on.
Oh,
So it's there's a bit of a delay. It's man. It's I try to talk. It's what? It's damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's but I have fun with it though.
Hell yeah.
What the hell? Oh, holy shit.
Yo.
That comes off the wall.
Hell yeah.
Okay, it says to hold and release to throw. Nope.
I really miss the old VR chat lobby with the. I remember there used to be blasters that you could shoot that were super.
Oh yeah. Are you sure it was the VR chat?
I thought it was.
Because I remember it was the Steam Home, I think it is. Or is it Steam Home or Oculus Home? It might be the Oculus Home.
I don't think it would be that, just because when I remember messing around with it, I remember it would be night. Home or whatever would be night.
Yeah.
And there would be this table with 3 or 4 of them guns.
Uh-huh.
And this was before I had VR, so I was playing on desktop, and I oddly remember really jankily trying to shoot these things that were off in the distance with it. I don't know if that was the home. I don't know if I set my custom home or something. That could have been it. Although I don't even think I knew that existed at that moment.
Or it could have been Rec
If it
Room.
even was there. Maybe. I don't know why it would be Rec Room though. I don't know. It hits like a air chat because I didn't really play Rec Room until more recently, and even then I don't really play it.
Yeah, I got on Rec Room 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, nah, I'm done.
There's one thing I like about Rec Room though is the climbing maps, because climbing maps are kind of fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, As
And
was,
then my friend sold his VR, and then he was like the main reason I played this climbing mask.
yeah, that sucks. It was like people go and sell their stuff, and it's like, well, now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So,
Bro, he was one of my friends, Hot Dogs Ocean Hand Grenades, H3VR. That multiplayer mod
yeah,
came out, and I showed him, and he really wanted to play that game with me if it had multiplayer, but for the longest time it didn't.
right.
And this was like a few days ago, and my friend messaged me and was like, "Oh, I'm playing H3VR, H3MP." I'm like, "There's multiplayer for H3," and he's like, "Yeah, you don't know?" I'm like, "What?" And I was in a call with my friend, and I was like flabbergasted in that call with like that friend that sold his VR headset,
Yeah,
and he was like, "Bro, what?" And I'm like, "Oh, Hot Dogs, Horses, and Hand Grenades VR mod, or not VR mod, multiplayer mod." And he was like, "What?" And he went on like a scurry for any headsets he could buy for cheap,
oh yeah,
because he was waiting for a multiplayer mod for that for ages, and this one isn't even that bad apparently.
oh wow, that's good.
But he couldn't really find much. He found an index that was being sold for like $500 or $600, and it was like a whole setup.
That's
but
not bad.
He couldn't get it.
Yeah, that's
But I
so
was
expensive.
like, damn, that's pretty cheap.
It is.
I mean,
I
for a full index setup.
I
it's
would be
pretty
asking what's
cheap.
wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Because, I mean, most people, I guess they could have just gotten something else and they didn't need it anymore or something.
Maybe. Although I don't know. I think it was 2 base stations.
Yeah.
Which is obviously not like the 3. I think it was 3 that you really want. I think.
Well, the main reason you need 3 is like, so like if you put your hand behind your back or whatever, it can still see the controllers.
Yeah. Although my friend was kind of chill with 2, just because he likes to play seated more often.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, I mean, it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's like I've had to try to play things seated for, so now I'm trying to get back into stuff, but I'm like, it's fine, but I would rather be up moving around. Of course, also when I'm seated, I'm like sitting here right there here at my desk, and I'm like, I don't have that much space. I keep whacking the desk. So
Yeah. I haven't really played stuff seated all that much, aside from like when I'm super lazy.
yeah.
This isn't even really seated. I'll just sit on my ground and go into the seated mode so it looks like I'm standing up normally.
Yeah, that works.
And then that works. I'll just sit in the center of my room.
Yeah.
Either that or if I'm on like a pilot map or something, or some game that needs me to be seated rather than standing up in a jet, then I'll
Right.
sit down, of course.
Yeah. Cool.
Right?
So, did you ever play around with Twitch Sings?
I didn't even really know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was.
I don't
miss
really
it.
do much on Twitch all that much.
Basically, it was just it was karaoke for Twitch,
Yo.
and it had like its own little separate program that you had to like launch and stuff, and it was pretty cool. There are probably clips somewhere. I only did it like 2 or 3 times, so 3 or 4. But the main problem was when I did, I ended up singing for like hours. Just
Yeah.
keep finding good songs that I liked. I'm like, it's like I tried to do it earlier, but it's like, no, my throat is not lubricated enough for that today. Because I mean, just talking is like you can hear. It's like just kind of straining my voice a bit. So,
Yeah.
so I'm like, damn. And also, it's like the karaoke map was pretty good, but I wish the vocals had been turned up just a little more.
Yeah, it usually is a bit easier when you can hear the vocals.
Yeah, so that's my
you're
main thing.
going
Is like,
along with it more.
yeah, because it's like I just like left to my own devices. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But if as long as I can like hear like I sing along with better than alone. Because that's one of the things I've always done is like ever since I was a little kid. That's why people are like, oh, you sing so well. I'm like, I don't think so, but okay. It's like, were you hearing the same singing I was? Because, but one of the things I used to love to do was like when I was working with the Walker Stalker convention, they had their warehouse was in Franklin, which is just outside of Nashville, and so I was one of the people, basically the only reliable person that they had to like come work in the warehouse. Basically, all we did was like load trucks and stuff for the conventions, and because it started out, they would put like a big call out for like anybody that was in the area or whatever, but we live like 2 hours away almost, but we'd drive up and so we also volunteered for the conventions in Nashville and Atlanta. So it's like we were just like, yeah, it's like so eventually they were just like, you know what, we need somebody at the warehouse, you come up. I'm like, sure. So we're the only ones that showed up, like, because even when they called other people, like most of them wouldn't show up, or they'd bail last minute, or they'd ditch out early or whatever. So but it was fun. So it was like on the way up there, I had like 2 hours. I had like a road list of songs, and it's like I had on shuffle. But my God, when it was Barbie or Aqua, like back to back to back, I was like, Jesus Christ, Smalls, you're killing me. Because like that's one of the things. Like I sing both parts, and I can do it fairly well. So like Barbie Girl, bopping between the guy and the girl, it's like, especially like it's like I can do it pretty well usually, but when my voice is like tired or strained or like I'm dehydrated or whatever, it gets a bit more difficult.
But makes sense.
But it's like, because like the whole list, I had like a whole bunch of songs that just like, most of them weren't like that, but there were days, it was like trips where it was just like, it would just hit like one Aqua song after another, and I'm like, oh goddamn. It's like, cut me some slack. It's like, oh well. It's like, my voice is gonna be dead, but it's worth it.
Hell yeah.
Man, it was like I said, I know at least 2 of the streams I did of Twitch Sings. I think the first one was like 7 or 8 hours, and then the other one I remember for sure was like 12 hours, just solid Twitch Sings. I'm like, and then they announced they were getting rid of it. I'm like, no, damn it.
Damn,
I was just like, damn.
Very tragic moment.
It was. I was like, oh well. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, probably better for the better, because it's like I don't need that kind of shit out there. But what I wasn't aware of, at least for a bit, was that, so like the first time, that each song you sing, they cut and upload as its own clip. So they had like the Twitch Sings clips, and those weren't ones that went away. I think they're still there. They may not be though. But so it's like anybody that sang that did any Twitch Sings, all the clips are up there for you to go peruse through. So it's like,
whoa.
Yeah. So it's like every song I did, for better or worse, it was there. I was like, oh shit, okay. It's fun though. What can I say?
Yeah.
Oh shit! It's almost 7 o'clock.
Damn,
Oh yeah. Oh well. And this is how you end up with a split sleep schedule.
Hell yeah.
And you stay up to like 9, 10.
5 a.m.
So it's almost 7. So you're out on the West Coast then?
I'm in Canada.
Canadian
lad.
Well, you're still closer to the West Coast then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like Vancouver-ish, I think. I think that's that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I know a little bit of Canadian geography. Not a lot, but a little bit.
To be fair, as a Canadian, I don't know all that much. I just know a little bit as well.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's really only 2 parts you need to know. It's the East Coast and the West Coast. Because everything in the middle is just kind of It's just a connection.
It's just kind of there.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody,
because
nobody lives there. I'm like, what?
yeah. Well, I mean, there's like only one road through there. It's like the road. It was like Highway 40, I think it is. I heard somebody say, or something like that. I may be wrong. But yeah. But at least you guys have Linus up there.
Hell yeah.
So you go to the is the LTX when they finally have it again. I'm jealous. I'm on the other side, unfortunately, and I'm also way further down south.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, so there's like no chance of me getting to go over there. He's like,
Down bum.
yeah, because like, my bank account says nope. He's like, oh, I want to go to
Makes
LTX.
sense.
It's like, no, you don't. It's like, no, you want. It's like, no, I want to. It's like, you're not going. Like, damn. Because like, I think I would probably have to. Yeah, I would probably have to fly, and I don't fly. So it would probably be about a 3-week trip for me, just driving from where I'm at all the way to the other side of the country, up into Canada. Yeah, that would take probably about a weekish.
Trip.
Yeah, it would take probably about most of a week. Yeah, and then have a few days up there and turn up and make the trip back. Because that'd be one of those, I wouldn't want to drive straight through, because I mean, you can't drive straight through, it's too fucking big. But the bad thing is, like, when you start driving in Texas and Oklahoma, they're both really bad. It's like you get into one of those states at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and by 3 o'clock in the morning the next day you're still fucking there. It's like, goddamn. It's like, shrink your damn state, for shit's sake. It's like, I didn't want to spend 2 days driving through Texas, like, especially if you drive through, like, it's like if you take I-40, which is like the northern route, you spend like 2 days in Oklahoma and a very brief time in Texas. You just kind of like cross through a little corner of it. But if you take like was it I-90, I think it is, which goes the other route, you go through Texas, like the entire width of Texas. So you spend like the whole, and then you end up going through El Paso, and God help you if you're not, if the Border Patrol decides to look at you funny, because they will ask you questions. So you better hope you know the answers, because one year it's like we lived in Vegas, and I took a trip to Alabama to see my grandparents, because my granddad's shed had got damaged in a storm, and so I was going to help him rebuild it. And so on the way out there, no problem, because I went through I-40, like through St. Louis and everything, and got here, no problems. On the way back, however, my grandmother decided she had a big suitcase full of books for my mom, and so she was like, okay, so we loaded up in the suitcase, taped the latches shut, because the suitcase is old as hell, and the latches didn't like to latch properly all the time, so we taped them shut. And the bus on the way back, because I took a Greyhound, on the way back, we're going through El Paso, and I didn't think at the time, like, and keep in mind, one, I came to Alabama from Vegas, so I was like dark tan, because I'm like part Native American, so I tan really well, really easily. And then again, summer outside, helped my granddad rebuild the shed, still dark tan. Go back through El Paso. Now my travel outfit for this probably didn't help anything. I had a pair of cutoff jeans. They're about mid-thigh-ish, little, probably upper mid-thigh. They weren't super short, but they weren't really long either. I'm trying to remember if I had the tank top on, or if it was just like a red t-shirt. I can't remember. Either way, it was like either a red tank top or a red t-shirt. Don't remember which for sure. Either way. And then I had short hair, and my hair was black at the time because it's just been black until I started dyeing it. And a red bandana. Oh, and a fanny pack.
Damn, but
Yeah. So.
can't forget the fanny pack.
Yeah, no, because I had all my like pens and stuff. Because I was gonna, try to pass the time and draw whatever, So we pull up, going into El Paso. They don't stop you going into El Paso. We just went right on in. It's like, all right, cool. We get to the other side though,
Damn, but
and they're like they're pulled over in line. They're like okay, we've got to. It's gonna take a few minutes here because the immigration's got to come on and check stuff out. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? They're like, yeah. It's like there's asked questions. I'm like, okay. I mean, I didn't have anything to worry about because I had my Nevada ID and everything, and so I was like, all right, cool. So they get on, and deadass the guy turns, looks straight at me, and then goes back to the back of the bus, starts asking people in the back of the bus, like questions or whatever. Gets to me because I was like right there, almost at the front. Sees a suitcase that's up on the shelf, and you're like, "Is that yours?" I'm like, "Yeah." You're like, "What's in it?" I'm like, "Nothing, just books." Yeah, because it weighed like probably 70 pounds, and so they were like, "Why is it taped?" I'm like, "Because the latches don't work properly," and I was like, "It's books from my grandmother sending to my mom, and I get to carry them." And they're like, sure. They're like, "So can we take a look?" I'm like, "I don't care as long as you tape the latches back." And they're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then like, "Okay, well, so now we're not going to look, but so who's the president?" I'm sorry, what? Yeah, who's the president? Where were you born? Where are you coming from? Where do you live? I'm like, well, I was born in Peoria, Illinois. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I went to Alabama I'm coming from Alabama, where I helped my granddad rebuild his shed that got damaged in a storm. And they're like, mm-hmm. I'm like, seriously? And they're like, because I had no accent whatsoever. So I'm like, they're like, okay. Yeah, I guess you'll pass. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Just guess.
Yeah. I'm like, motherfucker. It's not like I'm sitting there, fucking Cheech and Chong, born in East LA shit, It's like, hey, vato, what's happening? It's like, no, none of that. And like, que pasa? No. I don't speak. I know a few words. I understand a lot more than I speak. But it's one of those, I don't like to speak it because then that gives people the idea that I actually know any of it. Because, it's bad enough. I had people coming up to me in stores and stuff, like especially when I moved back to Alabama later, years later. They would come up to me and start speaking Mexican at me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Mexican. Or Spanish. I'm like, no habla español. They're like, sí, español. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'm like, so it was just like, damn. But yeah, I got completely fingered by the, phrasing. They picked me out as being possibly an illegal, riding the Greyhound, and even like maybe possibly smuggling something, because I'm like, I guess it was my fault because I also had my glasses were they were like prescription sunglasses. So you get this dark looking dude, short black hair, red bandana, looks like you. Apparently I passed for Mexican. So I'm like, shit, okay. Yeah, because it wasn't just like the one guy. Because there was like the one guy that was questioning me, but there were two other, like, I don't know if they were like police or what, but they had like the big fucking guns and handcuffs and shit, just fucking waiting. They're like, give us a reason, and they looked disappointed when you said, I guess you pass. I'm like, well, I should fucking hope so. I've lived in this country all my damn life. In fact, until that brief excursion into the apparently southern El Paso, or El Paso, Mexico, I had never been to another country. Apparently they counted. So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
well,
Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck? Man, it's just the way he's looking, like, they were looking at me like, so what's in the suitcase? I was like, books. Like, really? I'm like, yeah. They're like, why are you carrying a suitcase of books? I'm like, well, my grandmother wanted to ship some books to my mom, and they're heavy, so guess who gets to be a mule? And I'm like, phrasing? It's like, so they volunteered me to carry them. Because I realized as soon as I said it, they're going to be like, books, huh? What are the books filled with? Like, paper.
oh yeah.
Paper and ink. And glue.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing. But yeah, that was... Because that was kind of... Because, I mean, as I was sitting there, I was picturing fucking, born in East L.A. How they didn't believe Cheech was actually, born in East L.A. And I'm like... they're going to haul me off the bus. They're going to put me in a room somewhere, and they're going to, like, interrogate me, and I'm not going to know what the hell to answer because I don't know those answers.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But it was, and honestly, that was the first time, because that was when I was 15, almost 16, I think. I think that was the summer. That was the summer that I had turned 16, or I would turn 16, because this was like in the first part of the summer, and my birthday is not until like September. So yeah, it was just like. So I'm sitting here like still 15-year-old kid, like alone on the damn bus, which it was fine. I didn't have any problems with it, but you get that situation. I'm like, huh. I was like, yeah, this is not going to go well. Because I'm just like, because my thought was like, yeah, I'm going to be a smart ass. I'm going to say something. And then, my parents are going to get a call. Then they're going to have to go pick me up from the INS in Mexico. So I'm like, just don't say anything stupid. It's like, sometimes it's really hard.
It do be like that, yeah.
Because I mean, they ask you a stupid question, you just want to pop off like, duh, it's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then like, they don't have a sense of humor. Speaking of not having a sense of humor, a few years ago, me and my now ex-wife and family, we went to St. Louis, to the Arch. And it's like being a big like tech person, I have like a whole bunch of cameras and stuff. I have like a couple cameras, a whole bunch of accessories for my cameras and stuff, like SD cards, batteries, stuff like that. My wife thought it would be funny because she was like ahead, and I was in line with everybody else. I hung back with the kids, and she was up there and she's like, "Yeah, you want to keep an eye on that guy back there." And I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, and they were like, sir, we need you to take off your belt, your shoes, empty everything out of your pockets. We got to search your bag. I'm like, what the hell? And like, she said that we needed what? I'm like, and I looked down. They're at the foot of the damn ramp, laughing their asses off, because I'm about to like be taken to a room to get strip searched. I'm like, just like that far from it, and I'm like, I'm glad you fucking think it's funny. So it's like they went through my entire, both the bags I was carrying, my, I had like a kind of utility belt with that had camera stuff in it. Like, what's this for? What's that? Why you got this? Why? I'm like, why you got so many batteries? Why you got so many? I'm like, I take a lot of fucking pictures. I mean, so it's like, I get done, like, okay, fine, you can go. So I had to reload my bags back up. I had to put my belt back on, re-put my shoes on, and they're all down there at the bottom. I mean, this is taking like 15 minutes almost, at least. And they're all sitting there laughing their asses off, just waiting for me. And then they're like, come on, hurry up, we gotta go. I'm like, it's your motherfucking fault. I'm like, holy shit. It's like, if you hadn't tried to be funny.
They could have came up and been like, yo, we didn't actually mean that, bruh.
Oh no, they did. As I was leaving, they're like, yeah, tell her, we don't have a sense of humor, that's not funny. Because I was like, oh, she thought it'd be funny, apparently. And they're like, that's not funny. We don't have a sense of humor. And like, no shit. So, yeah. because I had to empty all my pockets and everything, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And they're like,
So much extra work.
oh yeah, and they're like, you don't know how close you became to, having to go back in one of those little rooms. I'm like, thank you for not. I'm like, that, because usually when they go back to the little rooms, that involves hopefully some lube and a rubber glove. A rubber glove for sure. The lube is optional, like apparently from what I hear. And most of them opt for not. I'm just like, I'm glad, because that would have really sucked. I was like, that's not something I'd look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you're gonna do some shit like that, you at least, you show me a good time first. Fuck. It was like dinner, drinks, lots of drinks, because that'd have to be pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Lots
Quite
of
a bit, probably.
Yeah, lots of alcohol needed for that, especially to the degree they were prepared. I'm like, no. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
There's just so many things like just I've done. Just it is very interesting things. Look back on it, it's like, holy shit, I did that. And the amount of things I've done, stupid things I've done, and with little to no consequences. One of my favorites was I had one summer while we were in Vegas. I bought, it was the frame for I think it was like a 20-speed bike. It was like a mountain bike frame, because it had four gears on the front. So I had to buy new rims and tires and stuff because the back one was missing. And so I went to this one bike shop, and I got one. It was meant for, for like street racing, but it was like a wide rim, like a mountain bike tire. Or it was meant for mountain biking, but so you had more gears. So it was meant to go on a bike with 1 or 2 gears in the front, not 4. So I ended up with like a 40-speed bike. That was fun, because I never took it out of top gear. So when my friends would try to be smartasses and steal my bike, they'd jump on it, try to pedal it, and fall over because they couldn't move it. They did not have the power. But I also almost got a ticket from the police one time, because I was biking down Desert Inn, just kind of going my usual speed. And then I heard, they pulled up and they kind of revved. I'm like, all right, cool. So I started giving us, putting a little more power into it. And then they'd go a little faster, and I'd catch up. They'd go a little faster. Eventually, they blipped their siren at me, and I pulled over. And they were like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" I'm like, "Does it look like I have a speedometer on my bike?" No, I don't. And they're like, "Okay, smartass. For one, we could write you a ticket. 2, the only reason we pulled you over is because it was way too dangerous. And 3, nobody would believe it if we did." They clocked me at 75.
Damn, boy.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, okay. They're like, because I was like, we're passing cars. I'm like, I didn't think about it, because the speed limit on that road was, I think, 30, 35. I thought maybe we were like 45, maybe 50.
Yeah.
But no, they said that they hit 75, and they were like, no, fuck it, we got to put a stop to it. So I was like, oh, okay.
Whack.
I was like, damn. Well, that's good to know, because I've gone that fast before with not even thinking about it, because they're like, it's a bike. People can't go that fast on a damn bike. Yeah, they can, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. which and it was a while after that I was riding my bike. My chain had had like a little hitch in it, so like every so often it would catch just right, and it would like skip a sprocket, so it'd like throw it off a little bit. So I was going to the video store, and I mean I was booking because I called. It was like a game or something that I wanted, and I had to get the one I had back before it was late, basically. So I was booking, and then the chain skipped. I was like, oh shit.
Damn.
Yeah. I tumbled with my bike, like sideways and like head over, like end over end, and then sideways. And
Jeez.
I mean, I rolled like 6 or 7 times, and every time it was like the tires caught, it like flew me up into the air. That hurt. It wasn't fun. But then when it didn't like tumble me anymore, I slid into the middle of an intersection. I am so glad that we had the green light, because if I hadn't had a green light, I would have been a road pizza. Because I mean, literally, it's like I was going. I could not. I mean, there's nothing to grab onto. I was along for the fucking ride because I had like a windbreaker on, so it was just slick as fuck. I slid. I shit you not, like over half a block. What kills me? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was booking it, and that leads me to believe that the cop was not bullshitting when he said that they hit 75. And also, luckily, it's like I didn't break any bones, didn't get bruised much. I didn't really hit my head, thank God. Because, I mean, any one of those scenarios, it could have been, like, just done over. Game over.
Yeah.
But, so it's like, my guardian angels were watching over me that day. But what really pisses me off, all the people that saw this shit happen, and they just kept right on going. They did not stop, didn't look back, didn't make sure I was okay. I'm like, and like I said, I slid into literally, I stopped at the median of the intersection, but I was still in the lane. I was still in the travel lane. So I had to get up, pick up my bike, walk back across the street, like the whole entire, and this was like a 4-lane road with turn lanes. So it was like 6 lanes. Basically. So I slid 6 lanes into the middle of the intersection. That people just saw me. It was kind of like the end of Back to the Future when he's on the when he gets back on the on the railroad, and he just kind of just like coasts across the intersection. People staring. That's what happened. They saw me sliding, and they were just kind of watching me slide by. I'm like, you suck. But yeah, I think that was probably the closest to something bad happening that I've caused myself. There's been a couple other times, but that was like the biggest, the one that if it happened, it would have been my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I figured.
You're just built different.
Oh yeah, well. We had a health fair one year, and we went to it. They had a bone scan machine, supposed to tell you your bone density. So they were doing like a whole bunch of people before me. I get there, and they were like, "Huh." I was like, "What?" Like, well, our machine seems to be malfunctioning. They tried to turn it off, turn it back on. They're like, "Well, we got to figure out what's wrong with it. Come back in a few minutes." They're like, about 20, 30 minutes, and we get it sorted out. And we'll do it then. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm messing around with the other stuff. 30 minutes. I mean, I see them. They're scanning other people. I'm like, all right, cool, it's working. I go back, and same thing. They're like, huh? And I'm like, what? And they're like, well, it's off the charts. Your bones are so dense, our machine can't register it. And it's like, and it can register.
Damn.
Yeah, it can register densities up to like concrete. So your bones are more dense than concrete. I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool. They're like, we've never seen this before. I'm like, all right, cool.
Man of Steel.
I guess all the milk I drank when I was younger paid off. And that's probably one of the reasons why. I mean, it's like, I've never had an actual broken bone. I had a fracture one time when I got in a car wreck. I had a fractured wrist.
Yeah.
But it was just a very hairline fracture. It didn't even, it was just like, it was like one of those, it didn't show up right away. It showed up like a few days later as just a teeny little hairline fracture. And I was like, huh,
Yeah.
cool. But I figured when I was 10, I had pneumonia real bad. It was like the same kind that I've heard have you seen Poltergeist? You know, the little girl Carol Ann, she's the one that sits there in front of the TV, says, they're here. That one. Yeah. So apparently she had pneumonia, a certain type, and apparently from what I heard, I'm again not put that much research into it, but it was said that she died from it. So I had the same thing she did, and I didn't even know it. I was at school one day, and what really it was bad because one guy, he was a big dick, always like every day like would like hit me on the way going down the hall. I don't know why. I don't know who the hell it was. It was just this one dude, for whatever reason, didn't like me. So one day he like did something, and like the sharp part of the book hit me on my back, and that was just like, that was the last straw. It pissed me off. I was like, it was just like, it was just like, you're coming with me, motherfucker. I was like, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I was going to beat the hell out of him. And I'm not normally like a violent person or anything, but when, you know, you can only put up with so much. And so this was just like the last straw. So he hit me, and I've had people tell me this after the fact because I don't remember a whole lot of it. But apparently, when I started beating the hell out of him, and then a bunch of people like came out and was like trying to stop me from, you know, hitting him and stuff. And I was just I remember hearing somebody over my shoulder yelling at him, and he was like halfway down the hallway, and they were yelling, "Run, stupid! He's gonna fucking kill you!" I was like, huh. Of course, I was pulling this whole mass of people, locker by locker, down the hallway. I had somebody tell me later that there was like about 40 people dogpiled on me to try to get me to stop. And the only thing that stopped me, and this is like students and teachers, like just everybody was like dogpile. And the only thing that stopped me was there were the classrooms that had like the two doors side by side, because like, you know, they share a wall, so like their doors are like side by side, so it's like a double door width. Yeah. I got to the end of the lockers and I couldn't reach the other lockers. That's what stopped me.
Damn.
Because I passed two other classrooms. Like I pulled them across with, you know, because I could reach the lockers. I just kept going, but I hit that and I couldn't reach the other side. But it was like, after that, a lot of people quit fucking with me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which, I mean, is fine with me because, you know, but a lot of people, like a lot of the teachers that were real dickheads and stuff to me, because, you know, like, it was really bad because my PE coaches, they wanted me to like go out for sports so fucking bad, especially like football, because I mean, it's just like I was big and, you know, built, and I was like, I hate sports.
Yeah.
I hate them. I don't like watching them. I don't playing them, maybe a little bit, but nothing really more than just kind of chucking the ball for nothing. But so, because when we went out to PE, they would take us out on the field where they had like all their like football equipment, their training equipment and stuff. So one of the things they had, like, they call them blaster bars. Basically, it looks like a half set of monkey bars with just the posts, and they've got like really strong spring pads, like 2 or 3 sets of them, like vertical. in each one. So the whole point of that is to, and each set gets stronger and stronger. So the whole purpose of that is to try to, I guess, like when people tackle you, to get out of their grip, apparently. So I was just like waltzing through the bars like nothing, and they were just staring at me like, what the hell? And then he called one of the other coaches, and they both came out and they're like, you need to go out for football. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, why? I'm like, I don't like it. And like, no, you're gonna go out for sports. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then just to prove a point, they had an 8-man sled that I just pushed, fun. I was just kind of like randomly just kind of pushing it like it was nothing. And they were like, they were like, so my one teacher was so mad. His face was so fucking red because I was sitting there like, like normally like 4 or 5 people can't move the thing like that, and I'm sitting there moving it by myself. Just because I was like, I had the center pad, and I was just moving it around in circles or figure eights and stuff. I'm just because everybody else they were all doing some other thing, and because it was one of those where like before the class we had like run laps or whatever, and I was like, I'm not running, bite me. I'm like, I'm not running, so they made me walk the laps. And they're like, oh, you're not going to get to participate in today's activity if you don't run. I'm like, I don't care. So I didn't, and so they didn't let me participate. So I just fucked around with the other equipment, and they're, so I was just fucking around with it, and they were just like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, they were like, you've got a gift, you're wasting it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't like sports, and. Because, I mean, they were hounding me to try to join the team. I'm like, no. And so it was like, that put me on their shit list. And then later that year, we had, it was during the winter, we had like a weightlifting type class where we had like the weight machines and stuff. And the teacher thought he was going to be like slick and, show the kids how much he could like leg press and everything. Because he was like he was a ex-football player or like weightlifter, so I don't know what the hell, but so he was like, okay, so he like had it like it had 2 sets of pedals. The bottom pedal, the top weight, I think was like 800 or 900 pounds, I think, and then like the top set was like almost 2,000. It was like just a fart's weight away from being like 2,000 pounds. So he's sitting there. He put it like all the way down. Bottom set of pedals. I think he did like 700 or 800 pounds, and it looked like he was gonna blow a gasket. And so there was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, ah, cool. So I was like, me being myself, I was like, I wonder how much I can lift. And keep in mind, I had never been on a weight machine before. So I just put the thing full fucking weight. I was like, let's go see what I can do. And I was like, I pushed it, the bottom pedals. I'm like, that's not heavy. Then I pushed it, and then I was like, all right, let's do top ones. So I was like, I pushed it and, lifted it all the way up. And then one of the kids was like, holy crap. And then I just started like just doing reps. Just and then the PE teacher was like, you're gonna fucking hurt yourself, get off of there. He was pissed. It's just like the big veins just bulging. Again, looked like he was about to blow a gasket. I'm like, okay. Because he was just like, because he was sitting there struggling, could barely do like 600-700, and I'm sitting there almost 2,000 like it's nothing, just boom, boom, boom. And they're like, you got to go out for sports.
Absolutely flabbergasted.
Oh yeah, and so he was like, get off the damn weights. I'm like, all right, fine. So then I went over to the they had like the sit-up bench, and there it was like inclined. So it's like I said, again, high incline because nobody else did, and I was like, I was just wondering if I could do it, and I was just sitting there, like almost vertical, and just sitting there busting out sit-ups, and again, he looked over and he's like, "That's too high. You're gonna hurt yourself. Get off there." I'm like, all right, fine. But I was just like, and it's one. They were hounding me like, "You gotta go out for sports." And, they're like, "Well, if you go out for sports, we'll leave you alone in class." I'm like, I don't care. It's like, it's not worth it. It's like, it's like the amount of less I could care is none. It's like, there is absolutely no less I could care whatsoever. It's like, if all sports suddenly just disappeared, I would not give a fuck.
Nothing would change.
Nope. It's like, I would go on perfectly fine about my business, and I would not, my life would not be changed whatsoever. And they're just, because like, and so they started like writing me up every day, so I had to go to the office and explain to the principal why I was there that time. Because the other thing is, like, I didn't like to change clothes for PE because I thought it was weird as fuck. I'm like, if I can wear the clothes, it's like, if I'm not wearing restrictive clothes, I can still move in them like I could if I was wearing sweatpants or whatever. Why do I need to change? I'm like, I'm not going to change. I'm sure as fuck not going to take a shower. I'm like, no, that's weird. One, it's like, I don't like these other people. And it's like, because most of the guys, they're assholes anyway. I'm like, no. It's like, I'm not going to give people another reason to make fun of me, or a potential reason for people to make fun of me. I'm like, nah, hell no, fuck that shit. I'm like, it's bad. It's bad enough I had to go down there and wait with everybody while everybody else changed. I'm like, but it was like, one of those, like, they were like, no, you can't wear jeans. You're not as flexible. I'm like, I do fucking splits. I'm like, seems like I'm pretty fucking flexible to me. So I was on a shit list with a lot of my, especially PE teachers, because they were like, they were over the sports and stuff. But it was, up to a point I kind of enjoyed it, honestly, because they couldn't make me. It's like, they can tell me to all they want, and I'm not going to do it. They tried to. Like I said, they kept sending me the principal, so I'd get like either detention or suspended or something, unless I went out for sports. And I'm like, joke's on you. If I get suspended, I don't have to be here at all. So, and detention, it's like you honestly gonna think I'm gonna stay for a detention? You need to lay off what you're smoking. Or you need to take some drugs to calm your illusions there, because it ain't happening. But yeah, it was. Yeah. It's like, it's like, I was never outright rude to my teachers, but they were kind of like the PE teachers and the coaches and stuff. They were borderline abusive, and I'm like, eat it. And they were just like, you're gonna be and you're gonna always have bad grades or whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. It's like the amount of this. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Make me walk more laps? Because that was always the thing. It's like, run your laps. You're gonna have to keep doing it, and you won't be able to do today's activities. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Make me run more laps? Okay. It's like, good, because then I don't have to worry about whose team am I gonna have to be put on because they don't want to pick me. I'm like, you're doing me a favor there, bud.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, it's like, oh no, please, not today's activities. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Whatever will I do if I don't get to participate? Oh, damn. Big fucking eye roll.
That's the worst.
I know, it's like, oh, damn. Oh, you mean I don't get to play soccer with everybody today? Oh.
Oh, no.
Not the soccer. Anything but the soccer. It's like, the only thing I did ever actually kind of like to play was like dodgeball. I was never really good at it, but I got to be fairly honest, I always took that time to peg the teachers in the face. It's like, oh damn, I'm sorry, it slipped. And that made them really pissed off too, because they realized how hard I could throw. Like, you need to go for baseball. Yeah. Fuck baseball. So just one of those, like, I was like, naturally, given the certain talents, I guess, that would be like, would, you know, allow me to go far if I chose to, and I chose to not. And they were worse than fucking drug dealers, man. Because, you know, drug dealers are like, come on, try, and you're like, we got you hooked, you know, you got to, and it's like, they're like, come on, try, you'll like it, you know, you'll like it when you start playing. I'm like, no, I won't. It's like, I've played it before, I really don't like it. He's like, come on, I'm like, no. It's like, do you see me, you know, tripping over myself to play this shit in class? No, you do not. I'm just like, sorry about you. It's like, figure it out, bud. It's like, take a hike, you hoser. But yeah, I from that year alone, I ended up with a school file 6 folders thick.
Damn.
Yeah, because like every day, they wanted me to, you know, change my clothes. I'm like, no. Write me up and send me to the principal. Sometimes the principal would send me back to class. Other times he just like, you know, just go to the library. I'm like, all right. And again, I got to, you know, to fuck off and read or whatever. Not hurting my feelings any.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like, oh no, not the library. Oh, I hate it there so much. There's all the books I have to read.
So much paper.
I know. You give them like that one monkey side eye. Like, no, there's all those books I'll have to read. Like, damn. That's not what I like to do at all.
Damn, bud.
Oh, well, it is. But I finally made it through the shit. And I'm like, I didn't, you know, try to commit homicide any, so that's a plus.
Hell yeah.
So that was always one of the things to be like, you know, I never understood the people that, you know, were, you know, get all depressed and were like, oh, I'm going to do something myself. I'm like, no, hell no. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to take somebody out with me. It's like, I've got a list.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's like, you can try it, but, because that's always like, it was like my, like, top list. I'm like, I want somebody just to try something. Like, it's like, because, now, keep in mind, it's like when I was in school, it's like I usually wore my coat because, well, one, in Illinois, in winter, it's usually cold as fuck outside. However, I also kind of am the more like Mr. Freeze. I enjoy the cold. On the flip side, I also enjoy the warm. So it's like I'm very contrary. But like when I would go to school, like in, you know, like second and third grade, as soon as I got outside the house, I would take my coat off, and like, because I would have like, you know, like long johns, you know, pants, like up pairs of like socks, and I have like a t-shirt, a button-up shirt, like and a thermal shirt somewhere in there, and then the coat. I'm like, it's too damn much. I'm like, it's too fucking hot to be walking, you know, it was like, to school. I mean, yeah, there was snow up to my nuts, but, you know, it was too hot. It was like, you know, it was like Scranton Ice Age, you know. By the time you get to school, you know, your ice cubes, but, you know, hey. It was really funny because one time I forgot to put my coat on when I got within sight of the school, or, you know, too close to school, and the teachers called my parents because I wasn't wearing it when I went inside, and they're like, oh my god, he wasn't wearing a coat. And so they were like, god damn it, we'll take care of it. And they're like, what the fuck, like, you have to wear a coat? I'm like, it's too hot. I got hot and sweaty. And they're like, and it was like, because I mean, that's like the worst thing you can do in the cold is to get sweaty. And so I'm like, I had to take it off because I was too hot. And they're like, okay, fine, but at least wear it when you walk out the door here, and put it on before you can see the school, so at least we can say you left the house with it on and you showed up with it on. what you do in between here and there, whatever. It's like, you'll freeze your ass off, but that's on you. If you're not, it's like, if you don't have enough sense to wear a coat in the cold, whatever. Just, we don't want them calling us again. Like, okay, fine. So, and that's
fair, I guess. I mean, it's kind of strange.
Because the thing is, like, they would tell you every day, put your coat on, wear it all the way to school. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got outside of the house, it came off because it was too damn hot. I was like, I could literally be walking down the sidewalk and look like fucking, like Ghost Rider, just like all the steam and shit coming off of me. It looked like, instead of flames, it's just steam. It's like when somebody pours water on Ghost Rider. You just, and just like, I've always been hot. So I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But it was just, like I said, the amount of stuff I did, and just it's a wonder that I didn't have something seriously wrong with me. I mean, that might be why I did all the things. I might have something seriously wrong with me, and that's just a what is that? The shit. I forgot the word. Damn it. Materialization of the weirdness. Or the thing. Of course, and also, it's like another thing that's not supposed to be able to happen that apparently it's not supposed to be able to happen, but I can make happen, is we have this place called SciQuest, and it's like a science museum. And they have like all kinds of, it's for geared toward kids, like younger kids. And they got all kinds of cool science experiments and stuff all over the place. It's really awesome. It was a really awesome place, but they lost funding and had to close down. But they had this one thing where they had like two sets of like metal plates. One set was copper, one set was zinc. And they had 4 plates total, one of each kind on each side. And then they had like a little like hand thing where you put your hands on top of the plates. Well, they were connected to a multimeter or like a meter in the middle, and that moved depending on like electricity or whatever. So it's like the experiment was you put your hand on zinc, your hand on copper, and then it moves the needle, showing that you're creating power. It's like, cool. I mean, it's duh. So, and then also you do it the other way, copper to zinc, whatever, and it'll go the other way. One thing that nobody has ever figured out, and apparently it's not supposed to happen, one, I could, and also most people, the needle only barely moved. Like a quarter, maybe half the way. I could peg the needle. When I touched it, it just punk, straight to the side. But not only that, I could peg the needle both zinc to zinc and copper to copper, which is not supposed to be able to happen.
Strange.
Yeah, so I'm just like, huh. My life is an anomaly. So there's many things.
You're literally a superhero who does not know he's a superhero.
I mean, it's the more I go on, it's like the more I'm thinking, huh? Okay, cool. Because that was that was things like when we lived in Vegas. One of the things that I had to do is like me and my mom and my sisters. This was like I think it was. My dad was at work. We were out driving down the road, going to a store or something. I don't remember. The car died. So we're here on one of the main busy roads, and there's like nowhere to turn off or anything, and the car just died. So I had, and like my mom and my sisters, were in the car. So I had to push the car with them in it because my sisters couldn't steer because they were like 6 and 7 or something, like 7 and 8, something like that. So so my mom had to sit in the car and steer, and I had to push the car. And it was kind of an uphill. And the car I was pushing, just to give you an idea, it was a 1972 Pontiac Brougham Fleetwood, or Pontiac Bonneville Brougham edition. Yeah, this is like a land yacht. It was like 32 feet. It easily weighed like, I think it easily was like 2,000 plus pounds. I mean, this was like solid steel. So I had to push it. I was pushing it uphill with my mom and sisters in the car. And then we get the first driveway we get to, which is about half a block away. We started turning into it. It's an uphill driveway. Like, not just a little uphill. It's like a lot uphill.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I turned up, put my back up against it, and then pushed up the driveway to the flat parking lot space. And it was just like, cool. I was like, wow, that was tiring a little bit. But it was like, it was like the fact that I pushed the car along with 3 people in it, not only, kind of up a hill street a little bit, but way up a hill driveway. I used to do shit like that for fun. That was like just seeing exactly what I could do, just for shits and giggles. Like, one of the things I used to do would be, there's one place that was like under construction, so they had like a bunch of cinder blocks laying around. So I would go and like, put my arms through some of them, just see how many I could carry. And I carried 4 on each arm. And I was like, and I could like, like I could even like flap with them and stuff, and like just like hold them up. And it was just like, huh. And again, I found out later that those were like 25 to 45 pound blocks. I was like, oh, well, shit. Cool. So I'm like, so that means at the low end, I had 100 pounds on each arm. Like it was nothing. On the high end, it was 180 pounds per arm. Again, like it was not a lot. I was like, huh. Yeah, it's like, I'm like looking back on things, I'm like, one, that was kind of dumb I did that, but 2, it's like, holy shit, I did that. But it's like, I regularly did shit, just, can I do that? Yeah, I guess.
Just for the sake of doing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or somebody said, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, watch me. It's like I might be able to do that, but let's see what I can do. And there we go. Yeah, but when I lived up in Champaign, we had this hill that was made when they dug the pool. So they just dumped all the dirt into a big hill, and people have been sledding on it for years. So me and my friends would take our bikes up there and ride down the side. And the hill had, it's like got 4 sides, but one side was like the trail to walk up it, and so that left 3 sides to go down. Well, one side was like a nice, basically that was the side that the trucks backed up onto to dump the new dirt. The other side was like the slightly steeper side that was just kind of like the extra runoff. And the back side basically was way more vertical than either of the other 2 sides. And going down that was not the brightest move, because not only did it go a lot more down, like about 15-20 feet behind where the hill stopped was a power substation with a chain link fence. So if you didn't stop in time, you hit the fence.
Damn.
Yeah. I only hit the fence a couple of times. Most of the time I stopped.
Just a few.
Yeah, a couple. Like 2 or 3 maybe. But consider how many times I went down it, that's, not bad. Of course, the thing about going down the medium side, let's call it, was that it had ruts in it. Like from where, like when it rained, the water would just like make ruts in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually more dangerous than the backside, because if you caught a rut, you go flying. And I say that from experience. Yeah. I went flying a couple of times. Not far, but I did go flying. Gravity the rude bitch that it is decided, hey, you shouldn't be there. And then, physics were like, hey, we agree. And I went back to the ground. Like I said, all the shit that I did that was, looking back on it, probably pretty fucking stupid. And I never, got severely injured. I was like, most of my friends broke bones, all kinds of stuff. I was fine. Of course, I'll tell you, it didn't help trying to learn to swim. That's one thing I've never been able to do very well, because as I found out, my bones have apparently been always dense. That it's like I kind of more sink than I do float.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I took swimming lessons when I was like 6 or 7, 5 or 6, yeah, somewhere in there, same time frame. And it's like I couldn't really swim that great because, again, I would sink more than I would float. Even like on the back, like when everybody's supposed to be able to float, like you lay on your back and relax, you're supposed to be able to float. Yeah, not so much. That doesn't work quite the same for me as it does everybody else. It's like the top part of me can float a little bit, but my feet are what pull me under. It's like my feet and my legs, straight under. So it's like, damn. So I got where I can kind of swim a little bit, but I prefer staying in the, like, as long as it doesn't go too far over my head, I'm fine. But it's like if I get down where it's like 10, 12 feet deep or so, I'm like, that's a little too deep. As long as I can hit the bottom and like bounce back up, I'm fine. But when it gets to where like you don't quite hit the bottom and you can't quite go anywhere from there, you're like, shit, mistakes have been made.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just realized I spent like the last, I don't know how long, just talking about all the kinds of stupid shit I got into. What kind of shit have you got into?
It's been a vibe. Not much, at least off the top of the head. I don't really know.
Or at least for legal reasons.
Damn,
yeah. So somebody was like, no, for legal reasons, not much.
Yeah, for legal reasons, not really much. I don't know. I've like accidentally cut myself carving a Tic Tac box because I'm retarded. But that's like, I haven't really done all that much.
Oh, you want to talk about cutting yourself? I did that once too.
Damn.
Yeah, I used to keep my knives like razor fucking sharp. So like one day I was like 12 or 13. I was like sharpening my knife, and because it had been sharpened for a little bit, so I was just sharpening it, and then I don't know what, I didn't pay attention, or somebody like caught my attention for a second. So as I sharpened it, I drug it right across my middle finger from like the well, if you're looking at it, the left side by the knuckle, the first knuckle, all the way across the top fingernail on the opposite side. And it was fucking deep. It was like, it was so deep, it didn't even bleed for like 3 seconds after I cut it. I was like, oh shit, that hurt. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, because I saw white. I'm like,
jeez.
That's probably not a good thing. Because I'm assuming that was bone.
Maybe not.
I'm assuming the white was bone. Because otherwise it should have been skin and muscle.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit. So it was like I had to, and I was watching my sisters too, because my parents were at work and they hadn't got home yet. So I was like, oh well damn. So I got like some shit, I got like paper towel or toilet paper or something, stopped the bleeding a bit, because once it started bleeding, it was bleeding pretty bad. And I was feeling pretty bad too, because it was like one of those, I was feeling a little woozy, and so it was like I got to stop. I just put a Band-Aid on it after I stopped the bleeding. It was like I should have gone for stitches, but I didn't, and now I've got a nice little scar. Be like, this is why you don't be stupid with a knife. But it's like, well, no, it's like, it's fine to keep your knife. It's like, if it had been a dull knife, it would have been even worse. So, But yeah, it's like
That
I
is fair.
always used to keep my knives like, I say used to because one, I don't really have any knives these days, and also something happened to my sharpener and I can't find it, and I just haven't been arsed to buy a new one. So like I've got like 2 or 3 knives that can be sharpened, but you know, it's like they're still sharp enough, because again, last time I sharpened them, they were like razor sharp. So
Yeah. They work as knives.
yeah, I mean they still cut things fairly easily. It's just it would be nice to be able to resharpen them, but again, it's like
Makes sense.
But yeah, so it's just like, because again, it's one of those things. Is like, it's like when I was little, my granddad always told me, like, you take care of your tools. You know, it's like you keep them sharp, whatever. You know, all that stuff, and then they'll last you a long time. And so I was like, he taught me a lot of good things. Of course, some things he didn't. He probably should have, or he tried and I just didn't listen. That's probably more accurate. Yeah, good God. Just the amount of shit I've gotten into. I'm just like, because like I've done a lot of stuff that the legality may be questionable. Well, let's say the legality is probably most definitely questionable, but because it's like what people don't know won't hurt them. And this is all when I was younger too, so it wouldn't really matter. I mean, it was like, well, I was younger, so, Man, oh shit! My friend decided when he was gonna make like a little fire beside the house, and he had an aerosol can, and so he decided we were just gonna burn like a bike inner tube or something. It's like, all right, whatever. We start spraying it and shit, and then it's going pretty good, making a little flamethrower, whatever. Then as a car starts coming down the road, and we're like on the side of my house, beside like there's like a little city park and creek kind of thing. The car starts going down the road. He freaks out, chucks the can into the fire. I'm like, you dumbass, and my dumbass. Because I didn't want there to be questions, because I knew it was going to explode if I didn't get it out of there. My dumbass went running up to kick it out of the fire. I was about a half second too late. I got there right as it exploded.
Jeez.
So I was covered in flaming paint, and the bottom of the can apparently like went right, like it was like I got just grazed by a bullet almost, because it went. I heard it like whiz by my ear, and I was like, fuck. So yeah, I had to get so I was all nicely burnt for a little while, so I had to get that taken care of. It was as he threw it in there, I'm like, what the hell? And so then not only did my mom have to take me to the hospital to get the burns taken care of, then the cops came and were like, so what was going on? I'm like, oh, fuck. So my friend made up a story that like the neighborhood bully came and like was messing with us and threw the paint can in the fire. I went along with it. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Because he would have gotten a lot more trouble throwing it in the fire than, just random neighborhood bully.
Yeah.
But I don't think they bought the story, because they were like, are you sure? Is that really what you're trying to tell us? That some kid came up and took the can from you and chucked it in the fire and then ran off? I'm like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, yeah, all right, we guess we have to believe you because there's no proof otherwise. I'm like, all right, cool. But I'm pretty sure I got put on a list after that, though. like anytime someone went around there, they were like, was it them? No, okay. Yeah, that's good then. But yeah, I was freaking out, because I'm sitting there in the hospital. It's like, there's like, the skin just like flayed off by the fire. It hurt like a motherfucker. And the cops are sitting there asking me questions, stupid questions. I'm like, was like, do you honestly think I'm going to tell you that it was his fault that it exploded on us? Because I mean, not only was it like that, but they were going to charge us with arson and some shit. And we were going to catch like charges and shit. And I'm like, oh no, yeah. I'm just like, no. And I'm like, I'm like, what, 10, 11 maybe? I'm like, I'm not gonna have a fucking arson charge at 10 or 11. Not especially because my friend's the one that started the goddamn fire. Dipshit. We did dumb shit all the time. Like we lived by a creek. They had like a really big culvert under it, like it was huge. And when it didn't rain a lot, the creek went through there. It was kind of narrowish, so there was a nice big sandbar. So we'd go and play down there all the time. So it was like we did everything from like build up the sand into like a little volcano thing, and then chucked matches into it filled with gas. Or sorry, we filled it with gas and then chucked matches into it to watch it just kind of. We did everything from that to like M80s. Like we'd bury an M80 and then like leave a little trail, like draw a little trail in the sand and pour gas in it, and then light that and run. Blow a big hole in the sandbar. I mean, we talked about doing that. We didn't actually do that for legal reasons.
Yes.
Yeah, for legal reasons, this is a joke. We did not actually do it. We talked about it. We didn't. But yeah, my friend liked also to. My friend was a criminal, honestly. Because, like, after we moved out of the house, because I lived right next door to him, after we moved out, a couple girls moved in. And one, they liked to sunbathe out in the backyard. So that was cool. But also, apparently, well, one, I'm really good with animals anyway, but they had a German Shepherd that it was a sweet dog to me. It did not really like my friend very much. So one time, my friend, for legal reasons, this is just a story, decided to, well, knowing that I lived there and knowing the tricks that I knew, to get into the house when it's all locked up and everything, went back to the back window, which was only about 3-ish feet off the ground in the middle room, decided to see if the window still opened. And then he opened the window, the dog came like charging at his face. I laughed my ass off because he about shit himself. And then I walked up, and then the dog immediately quit barking and was just sniffing at me and just started licking me. He's like, because like I said, we lived there before, and that was what had been my room. So apparently my scent was still there, and the dog recognized, like, oh, okay, cool, come on in, welcome home. So there may have been a few times we raided their fridge just to see what was in it. Totally didn't take their car keys and get a copy made and drive it back and forth in the garage about 3 feet each way. IROC Z28. No, totally didn't do that at all. I didn't do that. My friend may or may not have.
Gotta emphasize that.
Yes. I did not. But yeah, so yeah, they were, I'll tell you, they were fine too. So I felt bad about it because they were nice, and they were nice. No, they're like, it was like I think it was like 12 or so. But yeah, it's like I definitely appreciated the when they were sunbathing.
Hell yeah.
they wore barely clothes. I mean, honestly, it's like these days, yeah, it's like you see stuff like that all the time. But back then, you didn't really see that much, or most swimsuits were not that small. At least not here in the States.
Yeah.
Because basically it was like a G-string with an eye patch. And then 2 little eye patches for the top. That's about all the material there was. 3 eye patches and string.
Damn, well.
Yes. And they were nice and tan and well built. Very well built. Like I said, I was 12 or 13. 12 or 13. And I greatly appreciated it. It's like they were, they definitely may or may not have earned a place in the old spank bank there. But yeah, no, they were tall, blonde, built nice. And it's like that's the thing. It's like I still remember how they looked, and we pulled some bullshit a couple times, like just for whatever reason, just like knocking on the door and seeing if they were home. It's like they answered. We just like made some bullshit excuse. Looking for the cat, his cat or whatever. They got out of the house. I don't know, some shit. And yeah, like I said, I felt really bad about my friend living right beside them because he was a douche. But
Damn, well.
I still like to go over and hang out because the view was nice. And they gave really nice hugs too. Smelled good. So in the summer, that's part of the reason why every summer, it's like I like, because there's the one thing that brings me back to back then all the time, Hawaiian Tropic suntan lotion.
Hell yeah.
Because that's like most of the people, that's what they use at the pool. And it's like that's like just like happy times. And then they also use Hawaiian Tropic to get nice and golden outside. Like I said, they were nice, and they gave really good hugs too. That's why I felt bad. Of course, it's like. One time what happened was I wasn't paying attention and I turned around. They were right behind me. I didn't realize they were right behind me.
Damn.
Face first into the tits, motorboating, just. And then I was startled and about to fall backwards because I'm about to bounce back. I reached up to grab a hold. I grabbed their ass.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm great now. He's like, it was like, I wasn't feeling great before, but I'm good now. It's like, I wouldn't have mind, because she also like.
Lifted.
Yeah, because she also like to grab me because it was a driveway, like asphalt driveway. I would have busted my head open. So she grabbed me and pulled me up. I was like, it was nice. Like I said, just full on, just face straight. And just a whole, and it's like. You're panicking, panic grabbing, falling, and first thing, I grabbed the cheek just right in the center, just palmed the entire cheek, like I was rock climbing, fingers in places. I'm like,
Maximum grit.
oh yeah, and she was like, hey, I'm like, I'm sorry. And she's like, no, it's fine. I'm sorry. Are you okay? I'm like, because she yelled a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody else followed. Sweet.
Yo.
Arkman, welcome. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Story time. Story time edition.
Perfect time.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so I was just like, that was one of those, I was just like, and like I said, I felt bad for the shit that my friend did, but, you know, I copped the feel he didn't get to, so, you know, I mean, I got like, you know, I mean, just like full on, it's like looking back on it, I'm like, there's no way that I mean, she was really nice. I mean, and she was like pretty close to my age. Like, I mean, like, you know, like legal, but, you know, still close to my age. Like, she was like, what, 5, 6 years older than I was, maybe 7. So she was like 18, 19. So I was like, damn. It's like, I had learned things about them that, you know, nobody else would know about. So I couldn't say anything because they'd be like, well, how the hell you know that? I guessed. Well, it's like when I was, I outed myself one time that I had been perusing some, shall we say, adult videos. Because it was, to be fair, I was raiding my parents' closet. They had the tape. I just learned that because they always, you know, would check it to make sure it was in the same spot. What they didn't know was our VCR had a memory counter. So if you if you set it at 0, hit the memory, however long you watched, once you hit rewind, it would rewind back to 0. So it was always in the same spot. So they didn't know I watched it. Although one day we were watching, what the hell movie was it we were watching? We were watching some comedy. There was Rodney Dangerfield and a bunch of other comedians and stuff. And then Ron Jeremy comes out. I'm like, oh, hey, cool, it's Ron Jeremy. And they're like, immediately just, you heard like a record scratch. They turned and looked at me like, that's who? This is Ron Jeremy. And it's like, as soon as I said it the second time, it's Ron Jeremy. Oh, shit. Because up until then, he's a porn star. Hadn't been in actually legitimate movies. I should not have known who the fuck that was. And I was just like, shit. I was thinking, how do I get out of this one?
Fucking awkward.
Oh, yeah. They were just looking at me like, and how do you know who that is? I'm like, I saw him in a movie. They're like, what movie? I don't remember the name of it. Honestly, I don't think I knew the name of it, but he was like, no, he was on another movie with somebody else, or I saw an interview with him talking about this movie. They're like, sure. I don't think they believed it, but, you know, it's like, what are they going to do? It was like,
yeah, they
could just either leave the awkward alone, realizing that I have in fact been, I do in fact know where their stash is, or just pretend it didn't happen and move the stash somewhere else, which they did, but I found it again. They weren't very good at hiding it. To be fair, there weren't that many places they could hide it, so I was like, Oh, I'm glad my mom doesn't watch these streams. Arkman, cool. You think about getting on VR chat? Cool. It's a fun time until you run into the crashers. So far, we found 2 of them?
Yeah.
We found 2 today? Or hell, it could have been the same one, just with a different skin. Or an alt account. But yeah, it was... Yeah, it was like, looking back, it's like, I had a lot of fun growing up, but there's a lot of stuff. I'm like, I I'm glad my mom didn't find out about some of this stuff, because, or my dad either, for that matter. Like, of course, some of the stuff with my dad, it would have been a 50-50, either I'm grounded until I'm 20 or high five. It could have gone either way.
Hell yeah.
But I was just like, that was one of the things. I was like, when I was always kind of awkward and didn't really like. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I had like some good close friends. But it's like I always like wanted, you know, like I always had more friends. More of my friends were girls than were guys, because, well, honestly, most of the guys around my age were total dicks. I didn't need that kind of bullshit. But it's like but what a lot of people didn't realize, that, you know, it's like when you have when you are friends with the girls, you learn a lot more if you just shut up and be nice. It's like, just be friends with the girls.
Yeah.
You'll learn shit. Whether they, you know, it's like they don't necessarily come out and say shit, but you still pick up on it. Especially if, like, again, it's like I've always read a lot of shit, and, like, you know, I have, or used to have, like, not quite photographic memory. It's like there's a lot of stuff that I knew, you know, like, it's like now it's like I can put something somewhere or walk through a room and I know where most stuff that is visible is at. I can just remember, it's like somebody needs something, be like, oh yeah, it's over there on that or whatever. So it's still, yeah, but it's not as good as it used to be. So, but it's like I read like a lot of, again, like, just one, I was curious, so I just read whatever, you know, it's like books, magazines, whatever, you know, all these, you know, the sort of smut magazine, you know, like Cosmo, all that shit. I read a lot of those because, well, they were there. I was bored. What else am I going to do? You know, doctor's appointments, you know, they have like Vogue, you know, Cosmo, whatever the hell. You know, it's like, what are you going to do? Sit there and, you know, twiddle your thumbs, or you're going to, you know, occupy your time otherwise? You know, or play with the baby toys. You know, I chose to read the magazines. So it's like I learned a lot of shit. So it's like especially a lot of girly shit, because, you know, also I have, you know, my mom and 2 sisters. And shit I was going to find out one way or the other somehow. So it's like, might as well prepare myself for the shit. Because, you know, instead of having to have the awkward talks, it's like, no, I know, I read it in the magazine. So it was like, but it's like, I was always like, you know, they'd have, you know, problems or whatever, be talking, and be like one of them, they lost the back of their earring or something. I'm like, yeah, just take a pencil eraser and pop it on there till you get home and get some more. You're like, oh my god. It's like I made several friends with just random, you know, bits of knowledge that I knew that helped them out. And looking back on it, I think a lot more of them liked me than I thought. Because at first I was like, we're friends or whatever. But looking back on it, it's like the signs were there if I wasn't a moron. Apparently, I've had people tell me that before.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh my god, you're so fucking stupid. They really liked you, and you're an idiot. I'm like, oh fuck. And then I feel like really bad, because I really liked them too. And it's like, if they want things to go farther, I would have been fine with it. I've been cool, me too. But me being the, you know, my skull is as dense as the rest of me, apparently. You know, it's like my skull bone's just as dense as my leg bones. Dense as a fucking brick wall. So I didn't realize it. Because I mean, one time when 6th grade, we had a field trip. We went to Allerton State Park, and we had a weekend. It was like a 4-H camp kind of thing, and there was boys and girls. We were all there. We all went. Oh no, that was a different. The one I'm thinking of, we had like a couple of field trips where it was like you had to be there before the fucking sun came up, and we didn't get home until almost midnight because they were so far away. But this particular one, it wasn't the at the park. It was, we went to the Museum of Natural History. I think it was in Chicago. And we went to several places. Was it Chicago or Springfield? I don't know. We went both places, so it was one or the other. I think it was Chicago. And so, like, on the way there, it was fine, whatever. On the way back, it was like, again, it's like just talking to people. Again, you're sitting on a bus for, 3-4 hours talking to people around you, and is whatever. So on the way back, and also you have the whole day talking to people, because we were signed, like, field trip buddies or whatever. And so, I was stuck with a girl group because, well, it was like my field trip buddy was a girl, and then she wanted to hang with her friends, so they hung with us. That's how it ended up. So on the way home, it's dark, and so when it gets dark, they say the freaks come out at night. If I wasn't stupid, shit I could have got into on the bus that night.
Man.
Because, okay, one girl comes up, she was like, I was sitting beside her friends, there's like a group of them, I was like in the chair, and I was like, I was tired, I didn't want to move. I'm like, no, you can just, whatever, I'm still sitting here. And she's like, all right, fine, we're just sitting on your lap then. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Number one, she was just, all right, I'll sit on your lap. I'm like, okay. Didn't think about it. 2,
Man.
it was like an edge seat. It was kind of so I had to hang on to her so she didn't fall off. Number 2. Then they started playing Truth or Dare. I was involved in several of the things. Number 3, I'm a fucking idiot. Number 4, she's sitting on my lap. She squirmed around a lot. Number 5, I'm a fucking moron. Because, one, she was, squirming around, yeah, well, but, it was not just kind of like, can't get comfortable squirming around. It's more like, haha, I'm rubbing on you, squirming around, kind of thing, It's like, I don't know. I was a moron. Because one of the fucking dares, which, like I said, I got roped into playing, even though I wasn't playing. Three of them at one point, and it's like at different points. Apparently, it's like after the first one, somebody dared one of them to kiss me. I was like, okay, whatever. It's like, will it get you to leave me alone? It's a fucking moron. It's like looking back at it, like all the times over the years, how I was an oblivious dipshit. Could have had a girlfriend, probably done a lot more than just make out. And I'm a dipshit. And it hasn't changed as I've grown up, really, honestly. Yeah, because again, it's like a couple of years went by, and it's like I said, there's a lot of grab-assery and stuff going on. It's fine. Just got to feel up a couple of girls on the bus. Woo. But again, I was like, okay. But what I didn't know, I found out a couple years later, when I switched schools, and we were having like a school dance, and the girl I hadn't seen since I went to that other school, clued me in. She was like, oh my God, and she was like, how you doing? Like one, she really liked me. And several of her friends did too. And on the bus, I was an idiot. They were trying to make things happen. And I was a fucking moron. Oblivious. Not a fucking clue. Yeah. Yep.
shots taken is kind of impressive how oblivious.
Yeah, I mean, because to be fair, I had no idea that they actually liked me like that, or liked me at all. Because they were kind of like, when it first started, they were like pissed off because I wouldn't move, or they acted pissed off because I wouldn't move. But then, finding out later that they were just acting pissed off, so it wouldn't be obvious that they were actually really wanting to sit on my lap. And I'm like, well, that would have been fucking nice to know then while I was still at that school, and could have hung out with you guys more. Holy shit. But yeah, because they were all cute. It's like not one of them was like, not one of them was was under a 6. And most of they were still pretty well built, considering this was like 6th grade. So there was like, what, 12, 13? I was always the youngest in all my classes because when my birthday fell. So it's like, when I started kindergarten, I was 5. And which I should have been 6 before I started. But because of where my birthday fell, if I didn't get in then, like I was going to be 5. So I was actually 4 when I started. And then like 2 weeks in was my birthday. But it's like if it was like a week later, then I would have been the oldest one in my class because of where my birthday falls. So it's just, so I've always had that kind of thing against me. And then just various things, the way people have been treating me as I was growing up, not very helpful. So I was like, it was one of those kind of like, it's like, I've had people in the past be like, hey, that girl likes you, she wants to talk to you or whatever, and then been like, everybody cracks up you when you go talk to them. Like, oh, hell no, go, no, I don't like you, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. So it's like,
damn.
Yeah, that's kind of shit going on. You're like, well, yeah, okay, right, sure, whatever. Just like, and done over it.
Yeah.
But, but then little did I know, looking back on it, it's like, there were signs there if I wasn't a moron. Or if I hadn't have been so, I guess, cynical, jaded, I don't know what you call it, because of all the previous fuckery. So it's just, I guess the lesson to be learned is, even when, even if somebody puts you in a position where you get made fun of, don't let that affect who you are. It's like, go ahead, take the chance. If people say, take the chance. Because, you're not dumb for being like, hey, they said that you wanted to talk to her or whatever. She's like, oh, no. Like, okay, cool, no worries. I was just making sure. Because apparently, and again, this is why I feel like such shit, because there were a couple of girls that really did want to talk to me and wanted to hang out and stuff that I just completely ignored because I thought they were fucking with me. But they were just really shy. And it was because, like, the friends always came and was like, hey, they want to talk to you. Or, they want a number, can they call you later? Or, like, they want to go out. And I'm like, ah, yeah, right, and sure. And I'm like, no, they really did. And I'm like, it's like, stupid. Like,
Man.
yeah, I'm like, damn. And apparently, it's like, I managed to get one, so I got one and got married and everything, so it's like, that was cool, but, but then she decided, well, things happen, she suffered from, like, depression, anxiety, all kinds of shit for a long time. So, also, the dissociative disorder. Because, like, for years she was telling me, like, she didn't like to look in the mirror because she would look and she wouldn't, like, recognize herself or whatever. Or she'd recognize herself, but it wasn't her. Kind of, you know what I mean? And it's like, or if she looked at somebody too long, it's like she knew them, but she didn't know them. And so it's like, and so when that happens, it was getting harder and harder to fight back from that. So I was like, oh, okay. So, but eventually, I guess it won And so it's like, she decided that, she was talking to somebody else, so she decided to leave. I'm like, yeah, well, okay. I'm like, it sucked, but it's one of those. Another lesson is, it's like, if you really love somebody, and they're like, whatever, they're done with it, whatever reason, it's like, you don't have to be an asshole to them. You don't have to take revenge, because like, there's a lot of people who were saying like, oh my God, how could she do that to you? It's like, I'd burn all her shit or what. I'm like, I'm not that kind of person. It's like, it does not do anybody any good to be that kind of person. Plus, I was with her for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, I still love her, but the thing is, like, if you love, you got it. It's like, I would rather be in her life still as a friend than her not be around at all, which is where it could have easily gone. So, I'm always like, yeah, it sucks. Did it end the way I wanted it to? No. Am I happy that it ended? Not really. However, again, it could have just, she could have decided to take herself out entirely, because for long as she was like, because she had started a charity a few years ago, and she was like, just constantly working at it, just getting burnt out really bad, and you're really stressed, and things happen. She just wasn't getting enough rest and everything. So but like I said, things happen. It's like the guy that she decided to leave me for is actually older than either of us. Where I was like, really? And we knew the guy, and previously, she thought he was creepy. So I'm like, but it's like a lot of stuff she kind of did a 180 on, and I'm like, okay. So I was like, I can't be mad at her because, on one hand, if she really was, once she, tired of them, because she was just like, I tried to talk to her, and she's like, I'm just tired, it's fine, whatever, but that only gets you so far. So it's like, things were kind of rough for, the last little bit. So it's like, I get it, but, again, it's like, I'd rather her be happy and, still be around, not with me, than be miserable and not be with me or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it is what it is. Like I said, I still love her. We're still friends. So, it's like, we still talk a lot. And, she's mother of my kids. So, but, there's a lot of people that they're like, they hear about it and they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah. It's like, there's no point in being a shithead to, your ex, girlfriend, wife, whatever, especially if you've been along, have kids and were together for a long time. There's no reason for it. Then, because if you are, then that's just like, well, then did you really love him to start with?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that one thing, it's like, if you truly love something, let it go. And if then if it truly loves you, it'll come back to you or whatever, or it's or like you say on Grosse Point Blank, it's broken. But it's just a philosophy I had. It's like, so now I'm back in the dating pool. It's like, holy fuck. It's like, I had a rough time to start with. I'm like, now it's like, I've been out of it so long. I'm like, this sucks. Because I was like, I had my forever person, I thought, and I'm like, I didn't want to have to deal with this shit again. And like, then there's like all kinds of new shit, and I'm like, where the fuck do I start? And I'm just like, is it worth it? I don't know. It's like, I still don't know. But yeah, that's one of the things. When me and my wife first moved to Vegas, I got a job at the McDonald's in the MGM Grand Hotel, which they had the theme park at the time. So it was like every night. I worked night shift, so we would always like do like extra like fries and stuff or whatever for when the park closed. That's doesn't really have anything to do with the story. But anyway, so I worked there. She worked at Motel 6 as a desk clerk, and So, we did that for a while, and then we moved back to where I'm at now. And then a few years later, we decided to move back to Vegas again. And then well, no, I think it was the first time we moved there. Oh, no, it was. When we first moved there, we were staying with my uncle. And we didn't move back here. We moved into our own place. But I had gotten a job at the motel she worked at because she worked day shift. And then they needed night shift. So it was like, I got a job as night shift. So it was like, I worked night shift. And then on my lunch break, I would go home and get her. I would wait till it was, about time for her to come in. And I'd go pick her up, bring her in. And then I would take the car home and then come back and pick her up after she was off work. It worked pretty good. But apparently, and I never saw this, because, again, I'm oblivious, apparently. She got really pissed off one time when she came into work, because like she had dropped me off the night before, so she wouldn't have to rush and get ready in the morning. Is like, me and one of the other desk clerks were talking, and we were like 2 or 3 like windows apart. And keep in mind, this is like the largest Motel 6 in America, in the world, actually, at the time. And so there was like 8 windows, like 8 check-in windows. So I mean, they had a lot of people during the day. So we were like 2 or 3 windows apart. So like 10 to 15 feet at least, probably closer to 20 feet apart. And we're just talking because night shift, after the audit, there's not really shit to do until people start coming in or checking out in the morning. So you talk. So she comes in. I'm sitting here, we're talking, just shooting the shit. And she thinks she's flirting with me. I'm like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, yeah. Of course, there's 2 or 3 different times where she said the people were flirting with me. I'm like, no, they weren't. They might have been. Fuck, I don't know. I'm just like, Captain Oblivious here. Because that's the thing, it's like, when it's like when I was married and everything, it's like I wasn't looking for anybody else. It's like, so they could have been flirting with me, whatever, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because it's like I had my person. That was it. I didn't need anybody else. So that got way more personal than I had planned on that.
It do be like that.
Yeah, but so it's like, oh geez, so it's like, wow. 2018 was, what made it really awkward though was 2019, because we still both volunteered for the Walker Stalker convention and everything. So Nashville, Atlanta, we worked those. We rode together. And her new her new person, boyfriend, or whatever you want to call it, came with us. And so it was like the Nashville was fine. We had separate rooms. Atlanta, however, we all shared a room. That was awkward a little bit. And then I had to tell people at the convention, well, the people that we knew personally, that, what was going on, so that, they wouldn't see them, making out, kissing, whatever, thinking she's cheating on me or whatever. So that was fun conversations to have. And then they were just all like, how could she do that? I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. But that was awkward. And that yeah. It's like yeah, but at least we had, our middle child went too, because they also volunteered. So it was, not just me and them. That would have been, I think, far more awkward. But I mean, it is what it is. That's the same way I looked at it then. It's like, well, it's like because we stayed at the Omni Hotel, which is where the hotel is like right next to the convention center. So we stayed there because the first year we did it, we stayed at a couple motels. Well, in Atlanta, the first year we did Atlanta, we stayed at a motel. It was like a half mile or so away, and we had to walk. That sucked. So we're like, no, fuck it. Because after you have to walk a half mile there, then you're walking all day long. I had like a Microsoft Band, which is kind of like a Fitbit, and it counted my steps. And by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I had done over 50,000 steps, and it gave up. It was like, I'm not counting any more steps.
Yeah.
So it was like, so from 1 in the afternoon till the next day, it didn't count any steps at all. So it was like, and I was still going just as much, if not more, because we also did like the after parties and the after events and stuff like that. So it's like, so it was like all that walking, and by the time all that's over with, like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you don't want to walk a half mile back to your hotel, to get up at 5 or 6 o'clock, about 5:30 in the morning, to have to walk all the way back again. So it's like you get like 2-3 hours of sleep, maybe max. So we're like, okay, fine. After this, we're staying at the Omni because it wasn't that horribly expensive once we budgeted for it, and we got like a kind of discount because they reserved rooms for us under the Walker Stalker, so we just had to pay for it. Actually, the first 2 or 3, they actually paid for the room too, so it didn't cost us anything. It was the last Atlanta that we paid for our own room because we weren't sure that we were going to get to go or whatever. And also there was a bunch of people that they're like, we can't pay for your room this time because there's a whole bunch of people. I'm like, all right, no worries. So, but yeah, that was things happen.
Yeah.
But so now I'm here. I was like, what really aggravates me is all these people are just like, oh, you should go on, this site, this app, whatever. It's real easy. You'll get plenty of people in no time. I'm like, bitch, please. Where are these people? And they're like, oh, you're saying your standards too high. I'm like, not really. It's like my only standard currently is that, it's like they're not guys. It's like anything else we can, see if we can work with it. But no. I'm just like, I've been on like, what? It's ridiculous. And it's like the amount of, because like in what? What, 5, almost 6 years? I think I've only matched with like 30 people. And I've met none of them IRL.
Damn.
Yeah. And that's a combination of all of the things I'm on. I'm like, well, this sucks. I'm like, well, where's all these people? And then, they're like, it's like, well, you could always go on Grindr. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not a sausage fan. I prefer tacos. Just like, I mean, the fact that I have parlor tricks that could possibly cast suspicion on that statement, it's beside the point. I discovered a few years ago that apparently I don't have a whole lot of a gag reflex. Yeah, I was just fucking around because I had like it was like a big Polish sausage, and I was gonna enter it was for Oktoberfest. It's a bratwurst eating contest, so I was gonna be like, I wonder. He's like, because I've seen a lot of people like kind of like just shove it way back and just kind of like swallow it. I'm like, could I do that? I don't know. So I tried it. It was like a. Probably about a 10-inch sausage or so. And it's just like straight back. I'm like, holy fuck. Okay. It's like, that's something I never knew. It's like, won't really come in handy for me, but just another thing that people are going to be like, damn, you need to, it's like, well, just because I can doesn't mean I want to. Because there's like, I really freaked that company. It was like, because we were having a cookout, stuck all the way in there. It's like, it didn't look like I had anything in my mouth at all. And I was just like, hang on a second. And I just pulled out the big sausage, like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah. He's like, watch this. You're like, huh, okay. It's like, are you sure you're not? I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Like, goddamn.
Just gotta double check.
Yeah, it's like, again, never mind the fact that, if I was built anything like it, I would be Tim Curry, Tim Curry from Rocky Horror, on Halloween or whatever, or just randomly. I would definitely go to the fucking shows, but again, just because it's like, no, does not mean anything else. And if you've not seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, well, have you?
I don't think so, nah.
It's a really good movie. It's fucked up as hell. But make sure you watch the original, not the remake.
Damn.
Because the original from like 1975, 76, it's got Tim Curry, what's her name? Shit. Susan Sarandon, Meatloaf. It's got a whole bunch of stars in it. It's a really fucked up movie, but it's funny as hell. I like it. It's one of my favorite movies, honestly. Because my mom took me to see this movie when I was like when it came out, wherever we lived. So I was like a year-ish old, a little less. Because apparently it was released in 75, but we saw it it was not much older than that when I saw it. So, but I remember going to the theater. I was running around, I was watching it. I'm like, I remember watching it. Because I remember years later, I was like, hey, what's that movie? And they're like, how the hell do you remember that? Because that was the only time I'd seen it in the theater, was that one time. And we went to, it was like and this was back before it even became like a cult thing, where with all the interaction and everything that people have decided to do over the years. One of my favorite things is like when they're at dinner and they have a toast, people take bread to throw when they say toast. And like when like during the scene where they're walking through the rain, people have like squirt guns, and people have like newspaper they put over their head for like a little umbrella kind of thing. It's funny as hell. You really need to, if not go to one, watch one. And when Dr. Scott comes along, people throw Scott toilet paper. It's a whole fucking thing. And I've never been to one of the live screenings, but I really want to. Anyway, Tim Curry plays, his character is Dr. Frankenfurter, who is an alien, just looks regular human, but they're from the planet Transsexual Transylvania. No joke. This movie would not fly these days. So Tim Curry's like the leader of this alien group. Riff Raff and Magenta, who is the butler and the maid. Riff Raff's the butler, Magenta's the maid. Are brother and sister, which there's very questionable things that go on. Not super bad, but a little questionable. Nothing really obvious, but you can tell. Then Tim Curry, like I say, he's Dr. Frankenfurter, spends most of the movie high heels, nylon stockings, lace panties, and a bustier. Or they may be black, not lace. But he spends most of the movie in that outfit. Yeah. In full makeup as well. You know what? Let me, I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture real quick. Because it's one of those, if you haven't seen it, it's like, it's a good movie to watch, but
Yeah.
it definitely is one of those that if you aren't aware of what it is when you're watching it, and you watch it years later, you'll be like, "Oh my fuck, what?"
Also, I'm gonna be back for a sec.
Sure. Sorry, guys, bear with me a minute. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, this is oh man, I wish there was a way to show in here. Is there a way to do that? Probably not. I mean, I guess there's a reason that it's not. I don't remember what I was in for. Shit. Some of these things you can put like a web page up on the TV or something. Can you do that here? I don't know. What shows that?
Hello.
Hello. All right. You're gonna have to look at Twitch for this, but
Oh yeah, I have it on my other screen.
all right. So these are photos from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Alright.
This right here is that's Frankenfurter.
Damn, boy.
Full makeup, all that, and they're having convention. Unconventional conventionists. But yeah, there's like, and that's Rocky. That one right there, that's Rocky. That's Janet.
Damn.
That one there's Brad and Janet. Rocky, Frankenfurter. And the whole thing is, Frankenfurter made Rocky.
Alright.
For relieving his tensions.
Ah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole fucking thing. I mean, it's funny as hell in a lot of places. It's weird as hell all the way through it, pretty much. But it's a good movie. And it's like, they did it on like a non-budget, pretty much. So, I mean, and a lot of people were like, they didn't really like it when it first came out, but it has since become a very large hit, a cult classic, as they say. So, wait, what the hell? But for a long time, Tim Curry refused to acknowledge that he was in this movie and that character.
Damn, boy.
Because, I mean, to be honest, he doesn't look bad.
Yeah?
I mean, you know, it's just like, I know a few girls that couldn't pull that off. So, I mean, oh, here's where they did the remake. They made Frankenfurter a chick.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, this is one they did in, was it, well, fuck, I forgot what year it was when they did it. Nope, not doing it. Well, they'll put that on the date on that fucking thing. What the hell? Yeah, it's actually, no one ever liked Rocky Horror. Oh, well. Call Me Kooky was one of my favorite movies. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't get a couple of jobs because I listed that as one of my favorite movies.
Damn.
Yeah, because I went to apply to a couple of video stores because I was like, I would have loved to work at a video store, and they're like, oh, what's some of your favorite movies? I'm like, Rocky Horror is one of them. They're like, huh, Rocky Horror, huh? I'm like, yeah. It's like, it's a good movie. It's like, it's one of those, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And eventually when you find out, you'll be like, oh my fucking God. Because at one point, Tim Curry seduces both Janet and Brad. First Janet, then Brad.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's like he goes in, because like he goes into each of their rooms pretending to be the other one, and when they find out it's him, they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't," you know. It's like, but then it's like, they do. The amount of convincing they take to go ahead is not a lot. So, it is a really good movie. I highly recommend you guys watch it. What in the hell? Oh, it's festival. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, Meatloaf's in it. Little Nell, she's the one that plays. Nell, I think. Shit, what the fuck is her name in this? Damn it. I forgot her name. Riff Raff, Magenta. Oh, goddamn, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway. So, yeah, one of the scenes, like, basically, meatloaf is in the freezer. Get it? Frozen meatloaf. Because Frankenfurter took half of his brain to put in Rocky. And after the scene where he's running around the whole big motorcycle number, they're having dinner. And that's when Dr. Scott shows up. And he's looking for his nephew, Eddie, ironically. And then while they're eating dinner, the table they're at, if you happen to notice, is a little slightly oddly shaped.
Yeah?
When they rip the tablecloth off it, it's meatloaf that's been had for dinner. Basically.
Damn.
Yeah, because there's like, because it's like a coffin kind of thing, and then it shows like he's been like kind of cut up a little bit. So it's like guts, he's missing a leg, you know, it's like. But like I said, it's a good movie. It's funny as hell in a lot of places, but it is kind of fucked. I mean, I mean, no, it's straight up fucked, but it's kind of fucked in a good, fun way. Because it's a musical too, so it's like, you know, there's all kinds of songs and dances through it. It's, you know, it's I don't know. People often look at me very weirdly when I say that it's one of my favorite movies, and they're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm sure." Shut up.
Damn.
They're like, so, you know, because they're like, you know, what character would you be? I'm like, Frankenfurter. Really, you're sure, huh? I'm like, shut up. I'm sorry. If I had a body like that, sure, I would go to the fucking shows as Frankenfurter. Why not? If I could pull it off, fuck yeah. Of course, I'd also go as Neo to other things. So, you know, two characters I can never do.
Damn.
Because I am not built that way. Sadly. There we go. But yeah, so. But yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's an old movie, but it's a good movie. Again, I keep going back to, it's a good movie, but man, it's fucked. But there's a lot of people, especially think about this kind of stuff going on in 1975, 6, whatever. There was a lot of people like, oh my God, I never, you know, it's like, these days it's like, you see half that stuff, you know, you walk outside and you see shit like that. You're like, okay. Now it's like, no big deal. It's like RuPaul's Drag Race, you know, okay. And? But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of, like I said, and as far as, you know, I always fuck up the letters. Anyway, the Alphabet Mafia, however you say the letters, whatever order, and however many there are now, you know, I'm perfectly fine with. You know, it's like I have no problems. You know, you do you. Because, like, I mean, I've had people in my family. You know, it's like, you know, my uncle's gay. You know, there's trans people in my family. There, you know, like half the family is, you know, either gay or bi, you know, whatever, or, you know, or trans for that matter. It's just all over. It's like it's never bothered me. It's like you know, it's like at the end of the day, as long as you're happy with what's in the other person's pants, it's, you know, good for you. That's all that matters. And it's like, also, it doesn't affect me unless you want it to, and then it's like, that's the only time it matters. You know, it's like,
yeah.
it's like, whatever you got's whatever you got, and it's like it doesn't make any difference to me unless we're gonna play like Lady Gaga in Poker Face. Show me what you got, and it's like, well, maybe not. But hell, these days, do you know Finster?
I think so.
I take that long silence as maybe not. It's either or it's like there's one of two reasons that you get that kind of pause. Either they don't, or it's like, oh shit, I'm being called out. Maybe.
I was like, no, I don't think so.
Well, if you look him up, it's F1NN5TER. He likes to describe himself as a manly man. You know what? Fuck it. Well, how'd you look him up?
Yeah, I just looked it up on my phone.
I can tell by the I was like, oh yeah.
He's pretty manly.
All right. He's hilarious as fuck too. You should follow him on YouTube and all that. Because he's pretty cool. Again, it's another. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Fuck off. And the thing is, like, what's worse is it's my damn kids that are most of the time. It's like, Father, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfuckers, I've got you three, don't I? And like, yeah. It's like, but you haven't been with anybody since Mom. I'm like, fucking hell. That's because I haven't found anybody. It's like, well, your standards are too high. I'm like, they're like, well, try Grindr. I'm like, that's the wrong entire side.
Damn, bro.
I'm like, I'd really prefer not. I mean, it's one of those things like, but the times we live in is like, I'm having, because like, okay, by now, you realize that I'm kind of old school. You get an idea about how old I am. Normally, I don't advertise my age or anything because, well, I get a lot of people, be like, damn, you're doing this. It's like, hey, you're old dude. It's like, well, whatever, fuck off. But I don't want it. It's like, I don't feel it. I don't act it. And people are always like, you don't act like you're that old. I'm like, go eat a dick. I'm not. It's like, shut up, leave me alone. You do you, I'll do me. Which I'm doing a lot of lately, but anyway. But no, being is the times that they are. It's like there have been like a number of profiles that's on certain on sites where they don't mention right away, and it's like you're kind of like, okay, cool. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Then you read the bio and it's like, huh. It's like, how would I? Because honestly, I'm like, I don't care, if it's trans, but it'd be like, it's one of those. If we got